Hi, my name is Kamai Lineberger, and in this video I will be discussing the genre melodramas. I will define the genre, list its qualities, and I'll analyze the way that it shows up in the following three films: Moonlight, Manchester by the Sea, and All About My Mother. So what is a melodrama? Marcia Landy, film studies professor at the University of Pittsburgh, defines it in her book, Imitations of Life, a reader on film and television melodrama, as a constant struggle for gratification and equally constant blockages to its attainment, driven by the experience of one crisis after another. Landy listed out several qualities that are linked to melodramas, such as the severing of familial ties, separation and loss, and misrecognition of one's place. The qualities that would show up in the films I'm analyzing today, as defined by Landy, are abandonment, suicide, and incurable illness. In Dr. Young's Gender and Genre lecture, she lists qualities of melodramas as well, and the following will show up in the films I'm analyzing. Dealing with moral dilemmas associated with sexuality, home, and family, wanting to begin and end in a space of innocence, focusing on victim heroes and the recognition of their virtue, giving a take of too late and in the nick of time, and presenting characters who embody roles organized in conflicts between good and evil. The film Moonlight was directed and co-written by Barry Jenkins. The film follows a young Chiron who lives in Miami with his single mom, Paula, who has a drug addiction. It's broken into three parts and shows us how he goes about life dealing with bullying and questioning his sexuality. The cast of Moonlight stars Alex R. Hibbert, Ashton Sanders, and Trevante Rose as Chiron. Juan, a well-known drug dealer, is played by Mahershala Ali. Kevin, Chiron's childhood friend, is played by Jaden Piner, Jarrell Jerome, and Andre Holland. Paula, Chiron's mother, is played by Naomi Harris. The first quality that I want to highlight that reflects the melodrama genre is in the nick of time theme. This theme allows for tensions to rise and to play with your emotions a little. In the beginning of the film, the first time we see Chiron, he's running away from bullies. He's able to outrun the kids and hide in an abandoned house. This is where Juan and Chiron meet. I feel like this reflects the in the nick of time theme because Chiron just barely made it away from those boys, and who knows what would have happened if he didn't. Juan finding Chiron sparked an instant caretaking connection between the two of them. This brings up another element shown in melodramas, which is abandonment. Chiron's gravitation towards Juan reflects the absence that he feels from his father and mother not being present in his life. I want to note that Juan's character embodies someone who stands between good and evil. In the beginning of the film, we see him checking in on his drug business, which establishes him as a guy who doesn't play around, but we then see a soft side to him when he follows after Chiron and continues to look after him. This all comes crashing down when we find out that Juan is Paula's drug dealer. This detail really clouds the responsible caretaker image that Juan previously held. Paula even points this out in the scene when he confronts her.
So you gonna raise my son now? Huh?
The situation made Juan's character really complicated because he seemed upset and ashamed that he's contributing to Chiron's mother's addiction, but he doesn't stop selling to her. As I mentioned before, the film begins with young Chiron being chased by bullies. It shows him in a very vulnerable and fragile state. In the third part of the film, we meet adult Chiron, or Black. This nickname was acquired as a result of him being in jail, getting out, and starting to sell drugs. Chiron's character seemingly does a complete 180 from the first part of the film. He built muscle and even has a toy crown on his car like Juan. However, his new look immediately feels like a facade. Antonia Randolph points out a scene in her article, Stay Down, Moonlight and Negative Effect as an Analytic, where Chiron is checking in on a customer and highlights the fact that he's doing it in his own home. She contrasts this with Juan trying to separate work and personal life by checking in on his clients outside. Randolph says that Black is blurring the work and home boundary, which I think speaks to his true innocence. The part that I want to highlight that made me feel like the film ended in innocence was a reconnection with Kevin, his childhood friend / crush. The film ends with Chiron confessing that he's never had another man touch him besides Kevin, and Kevin ends up holding Chiron in his arms. Not only is this shot a stark difference from his gangster, manly side, but it's an opportunity for the film to end in innocence. The second film that I want to talk about is Manchester by the Sea. This film was directed and written by Kenneth Lonergan. The film follows a Boston janitor, Lee, who finds out that his brother has passed away and left him in charge of his son. This forces Lee to leave his life in Boston for a while and revisit his hometown and face the trauma that comes with it. Lee is played by Casey Affleck, Joe, Lee's brother, is played by Kyle Chandler, and Patrick, Joe's son, is played by Lucas Hedges. In the beginning of the film, we're made known that Joe has a heart condition and that it's not a matter of if it'll kill him, it's when. So when Lee gets the call that Joe's in the hospital and is not looking good, he rushes as fast as he can to see his brother before he passes. He gets stuck behind slow cars, and the driving scene makes the trip seem very long. By the time Lee gets to the hospital, he's met with sad faces. We then see Lee viewing his brother in the morgue, and you can tell that he wanted to have a proper goodbye, and he couldn't. I think an underlying detail that makes this more heartbreaking is that if Lee hadn't felt the need to move far away from his hometown, it wouldn't have taken him long to get to his brother, and he would have been able to say goodbye. The last detail about this film that portrays the melodrama genre is Lee's daughter's death. While Lee is being informed that Joe gave guardianship to him, he has a flashback to a night where he's having game night with his friends. His wife, Randy, comes down to tell them to be quiet because the kids are sleeping, and moments later everyone leaves. Lee then decides to walk to the corner store because he's drunk, and on the way back he discovers his house engulfed in flames and his daughter's bodies being rolled out on stretchers. We find these details out during our questioning at the police station. When Lee's done explaining his side of the story, he's expecting to walk out in handcuffs, and because he doesn't, he tries to take an officer's gun and shoot himself. This is when the too late theme comes back again. If Lee had just walked a little faster on the way back from the store, or not have gone in the first place, his daughters would still be alive, and he would still be married. His suicide attempt shows how regretful he is that he could have prevented the fire and saved his children. And since this is all revealed to us while Lee is being informed of potentially becoming Patrick's guardian, it makes his character so much more complex, and we're able to sympathize with his actions now that we know just how much trauma being back home brings him. The last movie that I want to talk about is All About My Mother, written and directed by Pedro Almodóvar. This film starts off by introducing Manuela and Esteban as mother and son. Esteban has an acute fascination with his mom and her past, which is later revealed that it's because he wants to know more about his father, whom Manuela said died before he was born. On Esteban's birthday, he and his mom go to see the play, A Streetcar Named Desire. Esteban's admiration for one of the actresses causes him to stand in the rain with his mom in order to get an autograph. When Uma, the actress, drives away without giving Esteban her autograph, he runs after her taxi and gets hit by a car. Overtaken with grief and looking for closure, Manuela goes to Barcelona to look for Esteban's father, Lola. As it turns out, Esteban's father isn't dead, he just wasn't living a stable enough life to help raise a child with Manuela. It's shown that not much has changed with Lola's character over the course of 18 years, because we later find out that Rosa, a young nun that takes care of sex workers, is pregnant with Lola's baby as well. Only now Rosa contracts HIV from Lola. Because of the caretaker role that Manuela has when dealing with Rosa, I can't help but paint her as a victim hero. She went from losing her son, who was the only family she had, to now having to take care of a sick, pregnant, and scared girl who was put into the situation by her baby's father. Her hero stature is even more supported by the fact that she ends up taking care of Rosa's baby. She found the environment that Rosa's mom had to be unfit to raise a child, so she went back to Madrid with the baby. In the article, Authentic Monsters and Artificial Mothers, Vicky Eggert says that this act defines Manuela as the best possible, though slightly unrealistic example of a mother, capable of adapting to every changing circumstances. An important element to victim heroes in melodramas is them recognizing their virtue, and I think that her taking that baby away from his grandparents is a clear example of that. She knew he was better off with her. I didn't introduce her before, but Agrado is Manuela's old friend from when they both used to live in Barcelona. In the scene where they discover each other, Manuela is defending Agrado, but she didn't know it was her. And once they realize that they know each other, it's like watching sisters connect after a long time. And once Rosa is introduced, they all act like a close trio. Manuela even told the doctor at the hospital that she was Rosa's sister, and they hadn't even known each other for 2 weeks. One of the most notable scenes that shows a sense of family in this film is when Rosa and Manuela come home from shopping and Uma pays a visit. The three of them are talking, and then Agrado comes in, and it turns into a little party with wine and ice cream. Everyone interacts with each other as if they've known each other all their lives. Their close connection is really emphasized at Rosa's funeral. I expected Agrado and Manuela to be there, but when I saw Uma there, I was really surprised. You could feel the overwhelming sense of family, and that really tied the bow on the film. Thank you for watching.